welcome to the Switch Island Desert Island Cartridges, episode 28. My name is Ben, and joining me today is a man who described himself just hours ago as basically Samuel L. Jackson in The Avengers, crossed with Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction. It's Dan.
Yeah, a bit of a bastard now and again, but a nice one, I think, and good on screen.
Very good on screen. As anyone watching this on YouTube can see.
Yeah, 100%.
A natural. so like Samuel L. Jackson.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
In so many ways. But how you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm chilled. I'm relaxed.
You got a couple of drinks on the go there.
I've got a few drinks on the go. It's a Thursday night in the UK, and I'm off tomorrow. So, isolation station, so it's fine. Yeah, I've got a nice beer called Alone Together.
Alone Together?
Alone Together.
Oh, that looks nice. Can I have a sip of that? Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. All right, down there.
Just yep. Oh, nice. Well, it looks lovely. Yeah, I'll have a little bit of that.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah,
cheers, mate. Pleasure. Do you mind if I finish that?
Yeah. You do you. It's fine.
Amazing. Thanks very much. Good. All the practice really paid off.
Yeah. Ran through that twice. Great.
Audio listeners, please go to youtube.com/The Switch Island because we put a lot of effort into that little set piece.
Big time. Yeah.
Don't let it go to waste. But yeah, you keeping good, Dan?
I'm very well, mate. I'm very well. I'm okay. I'm in good spirits. I've got Animal Crossing and it's Bunny Day. So what more do we need to do?
Have you met Zipper yet?
I haven't met Zipper yet.
Oh my God.
No.
It's the creepiest thing. And he does this. He's like, clearly it's a man dressed as a bunny, because if you in the photo.
Hold on. Pack it in. You need to introduce the guest. Come on. Can't not talk Animal Crossing without a guest. Especially the Switch he's just showing us as well. It's not on. Can't do that.
Well, I suppose we should introduce the guest then. It's fair to say we're pretty excited about this one, Dan, aren't we?
Absolutely. Very excited. For the second time, technically. But
the second. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to be joined by a man that we've looked up to for years now, and that's the founder of IGN and an absolute legend, Per Schneider. Hello, Per.
Hello, Per.
Hello. Thank you for having me for the first time.
Yes.
You guys seem really familiar.
Thank you very much. Yeah, for the first time.
Feels like old friends. But yeah, how are you, Per? Anyway.
I'm doing okay. Everybody's locked into their homes. I luckily I have a big family. I have 3 kids here. My daughter's was visiting from Japan. She goes to college there, and everything got delayed, so she gets to stay with us longer. So I got family here, and I got my 2 dogs. So at least they force me to take walks every day. But man, everything is more difficult to do from home, at least in your professional life.
How are you managing? So, recording podcasts and all the rest of it. Is it something you're kind of making up as you go, or have you got a kind of strategy in place, or what?
So, when we at IGN, we started with a voluntary work from home policy. As the concerns of the virus progressed, and already started to figure out production needs. What could we do from home? What would we have to pause? How would we structure our programming? And so we worked on figuring out how to do live stuff. We were testing a live news show at the time already. And so we said, how do we continue that? How do we take our studio shows to homes? And so, luckily a smart team ordered lots of equipment in advance. I don't have a mic yet, so if my audio kind of sucks, it's because my mic's getting here on Monday because I haven't been on a lot of programming. But, everybody else seems to be set up pretty well.
Yeah, Max and Brian did it was up at noon, but it wasn't quite at noon. It looked really good. Like the guys have really got it down, haven't they? It's absolutely brilliant. But typical.
Yeah, and it's the difficulty comes in. So I think all the hosts, almost everybody who's on camera also does stuff on Twitch and on their personal channels, or they're musicians in some cases. So they all got it down. It's more when you're doing the kind of round the office features. We're doing one for things you love and things you hate in Animal Crossing. And so now we needed to go to other people's homes who weren't set up yet.
I feel like we have to talk about Animal Crossing now.
I think,
exactly. Segued lovely into it. Yeah.
We've already mentioned it twice, and it is the game of the moment. I take it you're playing it, right?
I am. I was playing it a couple of minutes ago. This is not an Animal Crossing Switch. It's actually a Dragon Quest Switch Masquerade one. But yeah, I'm so hooked. It's a really interesting game in that I don't play it for hours and hours on end. I jump in multiple times in the day and late at night and curse the store hours for Tom Nooks. Um, I'm really enjoying it, but I do not love the bunny, and I do not love Bunny Day.
Wow, exclusive. There we go. That's something for us to take away from this.
Because it throws you off your resource game. Suddenly, every fourth fish is a freaking egg.
Yeah.
I don't want any more eggs.
Every one of those balloons that I see floating past, I'm conditioned to get excited about it, and then it's an egg.
Too many eggs.
Too many eggs. It's messed up the balance. The balancing's all wrong.
I think they might adjust that. Remember, the events are now downloads, right? So they're added to the game. I feel like they'll adjust Bunny Day for next year.
I think there was an update a couple of hours ago, because the last time I fired up my Switch, it said Animal Crossing had been updated. So maybe they are listening and tweaking.
I think they're going to frequently patch little exploits. So,
But other than the creepy weirdo bunny and all way too many eggs, it is just a fantastic game. And for this exact moment in time, it's perfect, isn't it?
That's the thing about this game. I was excited for Animal Crossing, but then when it hit, I realized how much it just filled a need.
Sure,
and we heard The Last of Us 2 was just delayed, and The Last of Us is about people dealing with an infestation with this infection of the planet, and it's like, I know that game is going to be great, but did I want to play that right now? Whereas like with Animal Crossing, that's what I need. I just need some normalcy. I need this banal kind of world where you have to pay off your house and it's great.
But routine's so important to us as like human beings. Like we get up, we go to Starbucks, we get a drink, we go to work, we sit down, we have lunch. Like the routine of Animal Crossing, I'm playing that maybe for 2 hours before I go to bed. And I'm just absolutely loving it for that reason. But previously when I played different versions of it on the 3DS, it never clicked, because I was like, well, I'm playing it for 6 hours. I'm not really getting anything back. So yeah, I'm avoiding time traveling as well, because usually a temptation to cheat the system in this kind of game is something I'd try and do, but I'm avoiding it. Have you done that yet, Ben? Have you cheated, mate?
Me? Do I look like a time bandit to you? No. Don't answer that. No way. Be patient. I think we've said it on the previous podcast. I think it teaches you how to be patient and how to work for stuff. And as you say, Dan, the routine, how mundane it is. I'm kind of missing that. I'm kind of missing my 2-hour commute in the morning, as ridiculous as that sounds. Just the routine of that, and getting up, doing something, feeling like you've got a purpose. It's and everything having its place.
I am too.
Animal Crossing has given us that.
Yeah. My commute. I have a 1 hour commute one way, and it's a time to reflect. It's a time to listen to podcasts and all of that. It's like it's missing now, right?
Yeah,
so from the moment I wake up, I'm already checking my phone and my messages, and that doesn't stop until the evening. Whereas like at least during my drive, I couldn't do that before.
Yeah. Strange. Yeah.
Strange
so
time.
in a very surreal time that we're living through, Animal Crossing has given us that. It's weirdly grounding us.
Yes.
This little island full of animals. It's keeping us grounded.
This game is going to do so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's going to be one of the year's top sellers for sure. We'll see how high it can go. It definitely blew up in Japan.
Oh, did it?
Didn't it hasn't it almost outsold Mario Kart in Japan already?
I don't know if it's up to that. I don't know if it's up to that number yet, but it definitely launched stronger than most of the games and surpassed Super Mario Odyssey already. So
wow,
it's crazy.
Surpassed Mario.
Yeah, it's
over here as well. In the UK, it sold like 1.5 million in its first week or something, didn't it?
Big numbers.
And that's just physical, which is crazy. But yeah, brilliant game. I mean, we could just spend the entire episode talking Animal Crossing, quite frankly.
We could.
But we have actually, Per, before we get on to the main meat and potatoes, we did get some questions for you.
Okay.
From our Patreon supporters over on patreon.com/theswitchisland. So, because they're excited as well, it's kind of a big deal for us.
It is a big deal for us. Yeah.
So we put it out to those guys. And one of them, we got a lot of silly Joy-Con focused questions because obviously you're coming to us live from the House of 1,000 Joy-Con. But we got one from Zach Bradshaw over on Discord who asked, what are your dream Joy-Con colors or themes? So if you could have one.
Okay. I mean, the obvious one for me, my favorite game series of all time is The Legend of Zelda. And I really wanted that kind of rich green, maybe with gold, or gold with some green elements. Like, I think anything to tie into that kind of the classic Ocarina of Time colors for me, because that is the game that made me fall in love with 3D gaming and adventure gaming more than any others. So yeah, I definitely, we have a lot of greens now. We've got neon greens and stuff, and we've got the Easter egg colors of the Animal Crossing Switch and all of that. But we don't have that nice Zelda green.
Yeah, that's true. And I suppose it's a possibility with the Breath of the Wild 2 dropping one day. Hopefully. Who knows if it'll be this year?
Yeah. The only issue is they're going to make us buy a new Switch just to get the colors.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, definitely. Or import them from Japan. I did that with the red ones for Odyssey. So that was
I did too. I have collector's conundrum now, where the orange and the purple combo.
Yeah.
In the West, we only got them. You have them there.
Yeah.
Behind you, right? Only got left purple and right orange. Well, in Japan, if you order a new Switch, you can determine it to be the other way around.
Yeah.
You can get a full set, but you have to buy a full Switch for it.
Well, it confused me when I was watching Kind of Funny, and Tim Geddes had the two blue, and we can't get the blue on the left or the blue on the right. I can't remember. We can only get neon red and neon blue. So how have you done it? But obviously you can get the different ones over there or import them. So it's interesting. Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't go for a Picross themed set of Joy-Con. I thought that would have been your jam.
That is, I don't know what that would look like.
A bit confusing.
Just a grid covered in X's. And,
I really like I don't own them, but the Labo Special Edition, cardboard themed ones look so good.
Yeah, they look really
very,
cool.
Very jealous of whoever won those and sold them.
Yeah, I'm still holding out for a GameCube color, like I guess the purple and yellow ones are a bit
the same.
But
it's white there, is it?
It's not quite atomic purple, is it?
No.
But spiced orange and atomic purple with the GameCube button colors on. Oh, it'd be lovely.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I wish they did that with Smash. That's an annoying thing because the Joy-Cons they brought out for Smash were a bit. They're
boring. They just have the cross.
Yeah.
And same gray too, which is lame. Should have been at least black or something.
Exactly.
Same with the Pro Controller. Not great.
No. Right, so let's do one more question before we get on with it. We had another one from Jamie Penning over on Twitter who said, looking back, this is a bit of a philosophical one. Looking back to when IGN started, what's the one thing you'd go back and change if you could?
Ooh, great question.
Yeah.
Wow, Jamie, that's a mean one. What Trump always say? It's a nasty question.
That's a nasty question.
It's a nasty question. Any question you can't immediately answer is a nasty one. If I had to change one thing, I would have invested in community development. We got side railed by a crashing internet economy in the year 2001. And so we pulled back a lot of resources on developing community tools. IGN used to have the biggest message board on the planet. Like, it was really, really big. The activity was really high, and it was focused to a gaming audience. And we were really early with that. And then, we just couldn't invest in it. We had like one engineer on it, and we couldn't get the resources together as the ad market fell over, and we had to really scale back the company. But my vision early on was make it a community, and then years later things like Reddit happened, and Reddit is basically the reboot of a forum, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wish we could have done that.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Good question.
Really good question.
A sensible question and a sensible answer.
Yeah,
which is very rare for us.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and do you know what? I was surprised none of the questions we got involved any sort of wizard. There's an evil wizard has come and
No
Give you
wizard question, no
no
question
wizard.
about how much we get paid by publishers or
Well, that's it. Yeah.
reviews.
No criticism. Yeah, it's
Too
fine.
Complicated to
Nothing
answer.
about review scores. Nothing.
No.
Crazy. All very respectful. Okay, well, we might pepper a few more questions in throughout the episode, but I think we should crack on. So you're here, Per, to try and get a game into the coveted Desert Island Cartridges, an elusive award that allows only the best games into an exclusive, all-inclusive club. Now, you're a man who's obviously played thousands of video games in your time. So I'm assuming there are a few that maybe came close but didn't quite hit the mark. Are there any that were kind of close runners up to your big pick?
Close runners up, yeah, and we talked before, and my tastes and my decisions always change, of course. So I'll definitely have a different one again. But Mario Maker was an early favorite for the island simply because it's endless, right? And the one challenge with Mario Maker I have, and why I don't actually play it at all right now, is that it's so time consuming. In order to do anything creatively, you have to dedicate many, many days and afternoons. And I love to tinker with levels and get them just right. And so that one honestly would be the best game to have on an island. But there's also the sadness factor that you don't have anybody else to play that game with you at that time. So I don't know. Yeah. I think I'm a huge puzzle game fan. I could play games like Tetris and Dr. Mario for hours as well. And so, Picross are right up there, any of those games. But they're finite. I feel like once you've solved the puzzles, it kind of loses a lot of that appeal. Even some of the more difficult puzzles you can obviously play over and try to get faster, but I think the experience is much more finite.
Agree.
True.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good picks there. What? Well, let's hear it then. What is your ultimate Desert Island cartridge? What game would you pick?
So I changed my opinion again simply because some time has passed, and it would be really easy to now say Animal Crossing or something like that because it's new. But I'm going to go back to the very first game for Switch that came out, and that's The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
Which
absolute classic.
So, and the reason for that is, and again, lots of really cool games have come out since then. If you think of Fire Emblem Three Houses, which I really, really love, and Smash Brothers and all of that. But enough time for me has passed where I've put that game aside that I'm starting to forget some of the things. Like, I still remember all the areas. And the same thing happened with games like Link to the Past, which is why I've played that game probably 10 times, finished it 10 times on various platforms. But like for the first couple of years after I played it, I'm like, I remember everything exactly. And so I don't want to play it right now. Now enough time has passed for Breath of the Wild. I'm like, yeah, you know what? If I think of the labyrinth, I'm not quite sure anymore where exactly it is or how to get through it. And, I've forgotten some of the other quests. They're the added difficulty levels. I never got all 500 Korok seeds, and I feel like if I'm stuck on an island and I have all the time in the world, that would be the quest to now go after, is to actually try to get them all. And they obviously added the feature where you can now, you feel the rumble when you're close and all of that. So I think the time is ready, because I was watching a couple of videos of Breath of the Wild, and I remembered how freaking amazing this game is.
It's all about being in the right headspace with it as well. And I think at the moment, we probably are all in that joint headspace of it's such an expansive world. There's so many different mechanics to it. Oh, to experience that for the first time again. I was sat on a plane on the way to Portugal, and I was like, this is an insanely good game. And I just picked that Switch up on the same day. Getting shivers thinking about it.
That's the one sad part about it, right? You now understand the system, so you know exactly what happens when you set grass on fire and you hover over it, or you know how the enemies react to your various ways of approaching a situation and like trying to distract them or steal their weapons. All of those moments when you discovered them for yourself for the first time, those were really special moments. And then talking with people who were playing it alongside you and discovered those things and said, you know what happened to me? I was trying to sneak up on this guy and lightning struck into a tree and the guy woke up. Like, all those moments are so special, and you can never replicate those again unless you have your memory erased. But I do think that there's enough in that game. It was so chock full of ideas and puzzles that I feel like if I go back in now, I don't remember everything exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost, thinking back to it now, it almost feels the same way as you remember a dream from the night before. It's all
Yeah,
quite
maybe. Yeah.
hazy, and I've got
Yeah.
this vague recollection of where everything is on the map or how to solve certain puzzles in the shrines, but
Yep.
I've forgotten enough of it for it to feel still quite fresh and new. But you're right though, that I think, as we said with Animal Crossing, it's a game that just completely captured the zeitgeist at that moment in time.
Yep.
And we were all talking about it, and it was different for everyone. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's truly open world. There's no, the narrative is almost very much to the side, isn't
organic.
it? Yeah, exactly.
Narrative is organic, right? The story evolves as you do stuff, and as things happen to you in relation to how you approach a problem. And I think that's so clever. And I was thinking about what are when you're on an island, and maybe I'm taking your challenge too literally here, but you want something that lasts you for a very long time. And I feel like that game has layers, with the core quest, with the higher difficulty level, with the way how you can see your steps now and where you've been. And I was thinking, what other games are on that platform like that? Obviously there's The Witcher, but that's a game, I've played a lot of as well. And it isn't the best on Switch. It's still great. There's Diablo 3, which is awesome, but you really need 4 players for that. And
you do.
One game that has breadth and depth of systems and is just so well designed is Breath of the Wild.
It's such a difficult game to master as well. That's one thing I keep on thinking about. And even the Master Sword challenges, I got up to maybe the 4th or 5th part of that, or room, or whatever you want to call it. And it beat me. And I was good at that game, or at least I thought I was, until I got in there and I got my hand arsed to me, was what I was just about to say.
Your arse handed to you.
That as well. Thank you, Ben. Cheers. Thank you. But yeah, it was...
that expression.
It's a British one, Bear. It's fine. It's normal in Liverpool. It's okay. But yeah, it's such a hard game to get to the level of feeling ultimately confident in. And then you get to... I can never remember the name of the centaur creatures. What are they called?
Oh, God.
You know what I mean?
High something. What are they? Come on, they're
called... No, not the High Nox. The
other one. Lionel.
Yeah, the Lionel.
Yeah. So you'll get to a Lionel, and you'll be like, oh, that looks easy. He's just stood in the middle, firing arrows, and then you go over, and that's it. You're like, right, I'm never going back there again. It's a very, very difficult game when it wants to be.
It's that moment when the Lionels spot you or sense you around them, and they just look round at you.
Yeah.
And I shit myself every time. I just go in the opposite direction.
That sounds inconvenient.
It does.
Particularly when I'm playing it on a bus, You
might want to have that looked at.
You said before they were potty training in the house. Ben's doing that as well, so it's okay.
The most vivid memory I have with that game is in the very beginning when you step out into the field and you've got your first shrine challenge and a guardian appears for the first time, and you intuitively run. I think few people want to attack, right? You intuitively go, oh no, I can't match up with this, right? And in the beginning, every time you meet one of them, it's this feeling of fright and being underpowered, and we're just not on even grounds. And the way that game gets you to feeling completely in charge with regards to those guys is amazing. You're just running up, you're knocking them over and chopping off the legs and everything. You're like, bah. But it's few games have this progression. I always think of, Half-Life 2 does that, where at the very end you're just blah, 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 you're basically Neo in the Matrix, and Breath of the Wild does that.
I was going to say The Witcher 3 gets it quite well as well. It's a really good curve with the leveling system in that as well, where at the end you do feel not overpowered, but you've got your different spells and you're able to master the 2 swords at the same time. That's really cool. But yeah.
Got a slight confession to make though. I never got to that point with the Guardians. I always ran away from them.
Oh really?
I finished the game, but I didn't ever go near them. I just, unless I had the ancient arrows, I just didn't trust myself to take them down.
Once you have the Master Sword, or I think any of the electric weapons worked amazingly well too, and you just remember you can knock them over too with your special powers, and you just start chopping legs. It gets so good. It's so good.
You just reminded me there. Sorry, I was going to say when you go down into some of the shrines. And you're like, God, please don't be a test of strength. Please don't be a test of strength. Please don't. It's like straight away you see it, and you're like, oh no, it's going to be a nightmare.
The best one is the one where you drop into this open field and it's all of the broken guardians in there, and they activate. It's so well done.
That's cool. Such a good game.
What a game. And I know,
also,
like, old like Zelda purists, and I am a diehard Zelda fan. Had issues with the variety of the shrines and like the visual presentation, that you didn't get your Earth Shrine into your Fire Temple and all of that. But I just thought this game just kind of threw you something new, and I still have the confidence that the Zelda series will always do those temples again, right?
Yeah,
like it's
absolutely.
not like this is the template for every game now. I thought it was so cool to have this departure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a big part of it, and you reminded me of this when you were talking about the Guardians and the first time you see one, the music that just kind of fades up when you see the Guardians, or when any enemy approaches. And I think the use of music in this game is sometimes criticized for not having any music almost.
Yeah.
But it does. It's just incidental, a bit like the story. It's just woven in to the world that you're in almost, and I think the soundtrack is just perfect.
Yeah, I think they did a nice job.
I was going to say, I think the noise of the Guardians when it floats in is also synonymous with the Game Over tune in my head. I was like, oh yeah, instantly remember that song straight after it as well. I was going to say, funny. Per, that you said you've got a really deep relationship with this series as well. When was the first time you jumped into a Legend of Zelda game? Can you remember it?
Actually, so I was, when the NES came out, I had fallen out of love with gaming, right? I'm assuming I'm a little older than you and your listeners. My very first gaming system was the Fairchild Channel F. And I had played as a kid. I'd played, hundreds of hours of Atari, the VCS, and then Commodore 64, the Atari home computers. And so once I went to college, I stopped playing games. So the NES kind of passed me by partially. My friend had one. I played games there. I loved them, but I never had the time to sit down with Legend of Zelda at that time. Okay. And so I really got into it with the Super Nintendo. And so the Super Famicom in my case, because I lived in Japan. So Link to the Past, I absolutely adored this game and thought, I can't believe this is possible. Surely, there must be other games like this out there. And my quest failed, unfortunately, because Link to the Past just was so far above everything else. Super Metroid, Mario World, like obviously Nintendo's other games, but like as far as that theme, the kind of medieval classic action adventure setting went. And when I played Link to the Past, I was like, I'm playing every game in the series. I went back and played the two that came before it. I even played the CDI games, which was more of a, curiosity. I knew they'd be horrible. And then I kept on playing those games and literally played every single installment and spin-off.
Yeah, it's so much different. I mean, growing up in the UK, so 87, I think I got my first Game Boy when I was late 90s anyway. And there's a HMV, one of chains that we have over here, where sells like music, games, everything. And I didn't know anything about Link's Awakening, didn't know anything about Legend of Zelda, and that was the game that I picked, and it's because the box art was gold, and it looked really cool, and I was like, it just attracted me to it. The game beat me multiple times, didn't have a clue where I was going because the internet wasn't a thing really for guides, and I kind of lost out of love with it. But from your time in Japan, everyone knew about gaming. It was just such a popular thing. It was on every street corner. I guess you couldn't really move without knowing about gaming at that point. You couldn't not be a gamer.
Yeah, but see, I ignored it, and it's not because I studied so hard. Quite frankly, when I got to Tokyo, there was just so much new and unknown about the culture, about the people. Met my girlfriend who became my wife there. All of that happened during that time, and then my girlfriend and my best friend actually bought me the Super Famicom for my birthday there. I think it was like 91, 90 or 91, one of the two. And they gave me Super Mario World, and I just blazed through that game and said, my goodness, like games really got good, right? If you think about, like, my comparison was some MS-DOS games that I had played. I had a computer at the time. And then the last games I had played were kind of winter games, and maybe the most sophisticated were the Lucasfilm games of the time, like Rescue on Fractalus and the Eidolon and all of that. And then I play Super Mario World. I'm like, holy crap, this is so good. Like the puzzle design was beyond anything we got in the old like Hero and Spelunky games, and Spelunker back then, and all of that. So and then Link to the Past, honestly, was a random discovery for me. I didn't do the research to find out what games were great. I just went to a store and I bought a bunch of games. I'm like, Link to the Past looks pretty good. Bought that, after that, bought Super Metroid, fell in love with that too. But I bought all sorts of games, like all the Konami games, like Axelay and Goemon and all of that stuff. And then discovered on my own how some of the Bandai and Banpresto games were really terrible. But, I found out after buying them. And then I turned into a more discerning customer and bought Famitsu Magazine and Dengeki and actually looked at the reviews and all of that. And I sold used games back too and bought new ones. So I did it backwards to how a lot of people, I think, experience gaming now. But just, like you looked at a pretty box art, I'm like, Link to the Past Japanese box art isn't actually that, it doesn't look like the game that it actually is. It's like, it's a green vertical cartridge box art with kind of Link just standing there with a sword, and like you don't get this kind of sense of grand adventure. And I'm like, this looks good. It's made by Nintendo, and Super Mario World was good. And then little did I know it was like the best game on the system.
Oh, I think you've muted yourself somehow. I don't know.
Is that better?
Yeah,
welcome back.
Muted.
Hey guys.
Hi Ben.
How close does A Link to the Past come to Breath of the Wild for you?
So
Assuming they're your top 2 Zelda games.
I was thinking about that, and my opinion on the Zelda games really changes over time constantly because there are just so many good ones. But there's definitely this top tier, right? There's Link to the Past, Breath of the Wild. I would then say Ocarina of Time is up there, Majora's Mask is up there, and Wind Waker, I think, is really, really special. And then there's the rest, right? Like Skyward Sword is, a lot of people hate it. I think it's a good game. Twilight Princess is a really good game, but like it doesn't, Twilight Princess is much more stretched, right? They went really big. And so you compare that to Wind Waker, which is such a tight, amazingly designed experience, or Ocarina of Time. It's not quite the same in my mind. But it's like picking between your favorite children, right?
Which so we can do. You can do that now if you want as well.
I would definitely, depending, like Link to the Past is the game that ages better than any other. Like you can go back to Link to the Past in 400 years and it'll be amazing. And you look at Ocarina of Time and go, oh my God, Link looks terrible, right? And it's just, these games are not created equal. And so I think Link to the Past is definitely the timeless one. That right now stands proudest next to Breath of the Wild as the latest and most modern entry. But then Ocarina of Time was such a trailblazer, and it invented so many systems in 3D space that had been done so well in 2D and like just innovated so much. And then Wind Waker did that on the water, Majora's Mask did that with time and time travel. And it's like, this series is just so unbelievable.
It's brilliant.
What creative minds.
And you've got Breath of the Wild and A Link to the Past are both in your IGN's top 5 games of all time, aren't they? Which is, testament. And they're both on our island as well because people love them. Not to put you on the spot, Per, do you know what the other 3 games in the IGN top 5 are? Off the top of your head?
On the latest list, I don't know. Tell me without me looking it up. But I would. I would assume, let me think about that. So it's always, probably it's going to be something like, some of the IG-10s of the day. So it's probably like The Last of Us is up there. And then maybe something like God of War. I forget. I think we put some more recent games up there last time. Super Mario for sure is one of the Super Mario Brothers. It's either it alternates between World 3 and the original.
I think it's World. Yeah, World is actually number 1 at the moment.
Yep. Okay. Then we have
Link to the Past is number 2.
What's number 4?
Number 4 is another one that we've got on the island, Super Metroid.
Yeah. Okay. Super Metroid. I was going to say either that or Metroid Prime would be way up there.
Yeah, and then 5 is Breath of the Wild. And number 3. Portal 2.
Okay.
Portal 2. See, I wouldn't have put that there, but I
I wouldn't
know
guess that.
I love that game. I think it's really cool. In my mind's hierarchy, I always favor Portal 1.
Mm.
Portal 2 is a better game because it's more variety. The puzzles get more complex, but Portal is like it's like the perfect indie project. It's very compact, right? It's a game you can beat in what, like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Um, but playing Portal 2, I never felt what I felt with Portal 1, where I went like, I can't believe they figured out how to make these puzzles. Whereas Portal 2 was like, wow, they did a really nice job making those puzzles even cooler.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like the jump from Link to the
Mm.
Past to Ocarina of Time, or then from Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask.
I was like that with Bioshock and Bioshock 2, where the jump
Yeah.
is like really, it's clear, but again, I was like, oh, it's really nice
Mhm.
what they've done with that game. But Bioshock was always the rapture in my heart. That was
It's
a
the
Coming to
same with-
Switch. Coming to Switch,
It
29th of May.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the same. That's right. It's the same with Mario Galaxy to Mario Galaxy 2. Ostensibly, Galaxy 2 is a better game. It's better tweaked and all of that, but like
Sure.
you don't feel the same about it because you
Yeah.
experienced the other one first, right? And
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
So one final question on Breath of the Wild. What are your kind of hopes and dreams for the sequel that we should hopefully be getting soon?
yeah, look, I mean, my dream would be that it would be a completely different world.
Okay.
And that's a tall order. I mean, depending on development time, we'll see when it actually comes out, right? But that we don't go back to the same world and things are remixed and all of that. Because I loved playing cartographer. I loved exploring the area and filling in everything. And that's something that I like in overworld games. A lot of people complain about the Ubisoftness of open world games where it's like climb the tower to unlock the area. I actually like that sort of like conquering the map gameplay. So that would be my hope, is that it is actually a new world, that we like in Majora's Mask, the game looks similar, but the landscape is different and I get to explore it all over. But I also love the idea if they could come up with a compelling way for the landscape to be altered, right? Like, hope
Yeah.
I'm not spoiling Wind Waker, but Wind Waker takes place in the same area as a previous game, but it looks so different, right? Like, I would love that if it's hundreds of years later in the same Hyrule, or maybe now Hyrule has been overrun by darkness and it's haunted, and so the geography's changed in some way. I would like that too. But I think the biggest change that I think fans of the franchise are looking forward to is a return to some of the more item-driven puzzle sequences.
Okay.
Breath of the Wild did away with the boomerang as a must-have weapon to solve a puzzle or solve even certain boss fights. Like, you could get good with a boomerang and have fun with it, but you could do that with any item. And like the past Zelda games always kind of took an item and said, this is the key to solving these types of puzzles. And I really like that, the hook shot being one of the greatest gaming tools / weapons of all time.
Do you feel like we could possibly have a different protagonist in this game after the initial screens that we've seen of Link getting caught up in whatever the mist might be, and then Zelda seeming to be the, I don't know, potential could be the new hero?
You mean The Legend of Zelda?
Yes, quite literally.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they made it a Legend of Zelda game. It's funny because like when the first screens were shown of Link in Breath of the Wild, a lot of people were like, "Oh, is that her?" Right?
Yeah.
People said, "Is Link a girl in this?" And the design team, the development team, always chuckled at the questions because to them it was like, "Why do they keep saying that?" And, it's like the kind of more androgynous anime style hero. To them, it was clear that it was Link and he's a boy and all of that. And so they always laughed at it. But I don't know, like after everyone asked that question, maybe they went back to their design doc and said, well, what if Zelda was the protagonist? Or, I think it's absolutely possible that they would upend the tea table and reverse the story like that.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Zelda
cool.
Zelda didn't need saving in Breath of the Wild, right?
No.
It was they definitely already stepped away from the poor damsel can't get out of the castle because there's some dark spell or she's in a crystal kind of thing. So they they stop that, I could see them just kind of reverse it.
I think so.
It'd be fun.
Good to see. And it's
Doesn't have to be.
It's a franchise that has always pushed boundaries, whether it be graphically, sonically, as in Breath of the Wild. It would be nice. Not that having a female protagonist is pushing boundaries in this day and age, but for that franchise, it would be a big shift, wouldn't it? So,
I mean, I would hope that they do that if there is a compelling story reason or a compelling gameplay reason that sets it apart from Breath of the Wild, and there might be, right?
Absolutely.
She's got different powers. Maybe playing as Zelda would be more magic focused than bow and arrow focused or something. I don't know.
Excited. When do you guys think it's actually going to come out, though? Or if you had to put,
I still think it's this year.
If you had to put money on it,
I'd probably still say this year. I think so, just because we haven't really seen too much of what's on deck yet for the year. We've seen quite a few games, but none are really getting my blood boiling. I've got my PlayStation 4 Pro packed away upstairs, ready to go for Final Fantasy Remake 7, I should say.
Same.
Last of Us 2, we don't know when it's coming, but hopefully still this year. I've not played Doom Eternal yet. These kind of things are coming, but in terms of what's on the Switch, I think we're still waiting for that big announcement of this is what you're going to be playing later on, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. So hopefully we'll get another Direct soon. It's not like every whinging Nintendo fan on the internet at the moment, but I really hope we do. Just because I want to know what I'm going to spend money on.
I think this year is going to be a wash. I think, whatever intention there was to make Zelda the center point of E3 and launch it later this year, which could have been what could have happened, I think got derailed by coronavirus. Nintendo is a very, very careful company, and
Absolutely.
I've heard, in talking to developers, I've heard what a challenge it was to create an infrastructure where people would be able to take home dev kits.
Sure,
especially with the next gen consoles, because like an unreleased system in a home, they don't want the kids of the designer or the programmer tweeting pictures and all of that. Like
I'm bad enough with an NDA on an email, let alone like taking one of them home.
Big fears, right? And Nintendo has always been doubly protective, so I do think that their production pipeline really slowed down over this.
Completely.
And so I would think that puts Zelda at risk. And the other factor is any games with human characters, any big budget games, nobody can do mocap right now.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point. Yeah,
all
absolutely.
of the motion capture studios are shut down. People can't do mocap work from home, really. Maybe some can, but this is the time where indies will arrive on time and the AAAs will be delayed because of those concerns. No orchestra can get together to play the music.
Great point. Yeah, it's an awesome point to make. Yeah,
I
definitely.
hadn't considered that. God. Wow.
That's depressed me.
Well,
it's all right.
folks.
Animal Crossing, it's okay.
It's
fine. Animal Crossing, it's okay. It's fine. It's okay.
It all lasts us. Cool. All right. Well, that's probably enough. Unless you've got anything else you want to ask about Breath of the Wild, Dan, then we can move on.
I think it's a small game, admittedly, but I think I know enough about it now, and I feel like I'm confident enough to go and play it again. So it's fine. It's okay.
It was my Desert Island Cartridges pick as well on my first appearance.
And
fine taste.
It was when we recruited you.
Yep. God. Talk about looking back on your biggest mistake, Dan. That was it, wasn't it?
That's when you had hair as well. It was even worse.
Those are the days. Okay. So, Per, we need not only the game, but we need a food and drink choice from you. So what food would you bring onto the island?
Taking this challenge literally. Hold on, my dog Midna just woke up.
Oh, okay.
And she's trying to get out. Hey, Midna, come on, lie down. Okay, hold on 1 second. Sorry.
Let's do it. It's fine. It's okay.
That's why I had to mute my mic, Dan, is because my cat was trying to come through the door, and I had to message Stacey to let the cat in. Sorry.
The joys of working from home, right?
Yeah, we just said that.
Yeah.
So yes, what food would you bring to the island, Per?
Okay, food. I would definitely bring steak. Again, not to take the island too literally, but I feel like when it's hot, it's a nice day. Nothing beats putting a steak on the barbecue, on the grill, and because I'm impatient, I would go for something like skirt steak, something that is so easily made and you don't have to do a lot of prep work, and I can be lazy and just go.
Yep.
Just a slab of meat.
So
That's right.
Just to get even more specific, any sauce with that at all? Any preference?
No, I would put a good rub on it. In the
Yeah.
US, A1 steak sauce is always something that you want to bring, but like I don't even need that. I love compound butters. If you do an herb butter, as you guys say, herb butter, invented by Herb the man. Um, with just some oregano and thyme and whatever you want to put into the compound butter, and then that's it. Grill it medium rare. Put some,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some Brussels sprouts and some potatoes on the side, and you're good.
There we go.
Interesting.
I like it. I like it.
And Dan, that was also your pick, wasn't it?
What's my pick?
Really?
And it's what you had for dinner tonight as well.
It was what I had a ribeye tonight as well. Bit too fatty, but yeah, it's okay. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
Medium rare, little bit of butter on top of it. Oh yeah, perfect. Wow, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I cook quite a lot at home, and right now, since I'm home and saving on commute time, my wife and I, and sometimes one of the kids, usually my daughter, we cook together every night. And with a lot of steaks, I love to make them sous vide. So I actually cook them, vacuum sealed. I have a chamber vacuum sealer, one of the really big ones that can do liquid too. So I seal them. I cook it right to the right temperature. I can be super lazy. You don't have to worry about timing.
Perfect.
And then I finish them with a sear on the grill or in a pan with lots of butter and some rosemary twigs in there. And then sometimes make a sauce. You can do a quick red wine sauce with some shallots, or we make compound butter in advance. But skirt steak's just so easy. When you're on an island, you're not going to, you have a grill, of course, with a propane tank, but you don't have an outlet for your sous vide
Very
machines.
good point. He's really selling this. I absolutely love how invested he's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The island's here now. I can feel the heat.
No, for sure.
Drooling. Cool. And what about a drink to go along with your steak? What would you have?
So again, I thought this through a little bit. The favorite alcoholic drink for me to drink is wine. I drink red wine, and I love Pinot Noir, or the German Spätburgunder, which is our. I'm saying our. I live in the United States, but that's our local grape. There's some amazing ones there, but Pinot Noir would usually be the pick. But it's an island again. It's gonna be hot, so nothing beats beer.
Yep. Amen.
Plus, I'm German. I was born in Cologne, so my hometown beer, and
don't
German
tell me.
beers.
I think I know what it's. Is it called Kirsch or something?
Kirsch,
like that?
you got it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well
Does
done,
this guy
Ben.
know his beers? Come
Yes, well done.
Oh, that's great. Depending where you are in Germany, the beers differ, right? Like in the north, like in Hamburg, you have Flens and all these different northern beers. In the south, obviously, that's the Bavarians are amazing at making beer, and next to us, the Belgians are great, and so forth. And Czech Republic, obviously, where Pilsner comes from, are great.
Yes.
Cologne has its own beer. It's called Kölsch. I'm almost turning American here, and it can only be brewed in Cologne if your brewery has a direct view of the Cathedral of Cologne called the Dome.
Okay.
So
Brilliant.
that's in the rules. The people of Cologne are as up about it, in arms about it, as the people from the Champagne about champagne.
Yeah.
So you cannot call your beer Kölsch if it's not from Cologne and from those 20-some breweries. But in the US, there are a bunch of Kölsch styles now. So, there's like Cali Craft and some others that are making pretty good approximations. But, sorry, if I'm going into too much detail.
No,
You
please.
literally talk about beer as much as you want.
Kölsch is served in a beer glass without a stem that looks like a Collins glass. It's a narrow glass. 0.2 is the regular size, which is really small for a beer, but it's actually really smart because it never gets warm. You just finish it. And when you go to Cologne and you go to a bar in Cologne, one of the breweries, they constantly bring you new ones. So you finish one, they bring you a new one. They don't ever ask you. If you wanted to stop it, you have to put a lid on it and basically say stop that way. And so it's a fresh beer. There are no preservatives in it because it goes so fast and it's served in such small glasses, and it's super cheap too.
So I was born in Germany. I was born in a place called Paderborn. It's quite near Dortmund. Yeah, absolutely lovely little place.
Boring town.
Yes, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Oh, wow, there we go. We've bonded, Ben. You can get lost in the way. It's fine. But from holidaying in Germany, going to Hamburg, going to Dortmund, going to Munich, the beer is absolutely incredible. And a lot of it is in, like you said, those kind of tube glasses. And when they bring it on, like there might be like 20, and you just swivel it around, and man.
They have a carrier, so the waiters in Cologne are called Kürbis, which is dialect for Jacob for some odd reason. Like they're all called Jacob. They just decided on that, and they have these carriers that are a ring like that, And so it's again very different from the image of Germany you have from the south in Bavaria, where it's like the lady in the dirndl bringing the big beer steins.
Oktoberfest kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I have downstairs. I probably have 15 different types of beer glasses.
Your eyes lit up more about them than Joy-Cons. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild, whatever. Let's talk about beer.
Yeah. You can't have a Radeberger Pils out of a Coach glass
you can't.
Or something.
No.
Absolutely. No, you can't have a Bavarian glass, Bavarian beer out of,
It's madness.
Northern glass or an Alt glass, which is a different beer altogether.
So try and give some of the Irish guys in Liverpool a Guinness out of any other glass that isn't branded. You're in for a fight. Yeah.
No, exactly.
It's not good.
It's just it feels wrong, know.
Yeah. I know. Doesn't respond. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not to be too presumptuous, but I think if we're ever allowed out of our houses again, we should go over to visit Pear, and we should have a few beers. What do you reckon, Dan?
Well, annoyingly, this was our year that we were going to not go to EGX, and we were actually going to go to Gamescom, so that might have actually happened. But typically, we'll have to wait till next year now to get drunk in Germany together, Ben.
Absolutely.
So we are, IGN is one of the media partners for Gamescom, so we were planning to have again like a studio on the show floor and all of that, and creating programming around it. So my team loves going to Cologne, and part of it is hanging out in the kind of the beer halls in the evening and having Courage. I think everybody really loves that. So if it happens this year, I'll be there. I'll buy you guys a beer. We can.
Amen. There we go.
There's a couple of different breweries, and we can go check them out.
Just end the podcast, Ben. End it there.
We are recording this, right? That's a legally binding verbal contract.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, yeah, they're superb choices. I think having brought Breath of the Wild to the island myself, I can't argue with that. I certainly can't argue with any form of beer, and steak is the best thing in the world. It's whenever my partner and I go out, that's the first thing we think of going out for, is a good steak. And she flies to South Africa a lot, not at the moment, obviously. And she has a lot of steak. When she goes there, she said it's the best steak she's ever had. And it's, one of our favourite meals. So
that's awesome.
That's 3 yeses from me. Dan, I could probably guess, but what about you?
Wow. Okay. No pressure. Yeah, 100% for Breath of the Wild, 100% for beer, 100% for steak. Easy. And it's Pear Schneider as well. That's pretty.
Pear Schneider.
You can't.
They could have said
McDonald's,
Superman 64.
64. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
We'd have sat here going, "Oh yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Oh yeah, fantastic." No, good choices all round. Right, we've got one more question, if that's all right with you. And this is a bit of a topical one that was sent over on Patreon from Jesper Kondrup. And his question is, what do you hope will come out of a re-release of the old Mario games? Because obviously there's been a lot of rumours floating around about the 3D Marios coming to Switch.
Yeah. Okay, so different things. I'm hoping for different things. I'm hoping for Super Mario 64 to not lose the feel of the original game. I think it's just it's a fantastically designed title. I hope then if they redo it, I hope they're not suddenly going for bigger scale and making the castle playground so much bigger. I hope that they preserve what the game feels like in the way Mario moves and feels like, but with nicer graphics. That would be really cool. Whereas like with Super Mario Sunshine, I'm hoping that apart from the obvious of making the game widescreen and high def and all of that, I hope that they have the time to finish it, because
definitely.
that is really the only game, the only big game in the Mario main franchise where you can feel that they ran out of time. They fell in love with the concept of releasing a vacation Mario Island game in the summer, and the game wasn't finished. And it is actually, sometimes I hear people talk negatively about Mario Sunshine because it doesn't have the ice levels and the desert levels and the forest levels and the elevator levels. It is much more focused with that island theme, but I think there's so much good stuff in it. And having played it recently on the GameCube, it is hampered by the bugs and some of the camera issues that they didn't resolve. It feels amazing, and there's certain style choices, the way the Pianta look, the design, that's just not good. It needed more work, and some of the kind of effects and the light and shadow stuff doesn't work. It feels very gray sometimes, which is weird for an island-based game, and I think they can fix all of that. And so, on the one hand, preserve what is amazing about Mario and don't mess it up. On the other hand, finish Sunshine and everything else. Like Galaxy, you just need to bump it up in resolution and the game's going to be great. Still, it's going to look great, Yep.
That's a pretty damn good looking game anyway, wasn't it? Galaxy, even on the Wii.
It was such a pity that the Wii was locked into 480p and didn't go to 1080p because that game looked better than it should. It was just limited by the standard def stuff.
Know how to squeeze every ounce out of the consoles, don't they, Nintendo, when they're releasing games? So
they do, yeah. Even now, when I go back to GameCube, it's pretty impressive, and some of their second parties too. Metroid Prime still looks really, really good,
Pikmin look great. I mean, some of the games, the colors that came out of that console were ridiculously good. So such a jump.
It was I was actually thinking about Sunshine earlier though, and the analog triggers, or the lack of analog triggers on the Switch, and how they can get around that for controlling flood. And it's a tricky one because it was all reliant on the analog triggers, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that.
So hang on, I don't want to be left out here. I'll just get the light out as well.
Look at that. I should get my other Switches.
Oh, come on then, let's do it.
I'll go and get my other one as well.
I'll get my one. There we go. It gets really competitive, right?
Yeah.
I have a light too.
I think we'd lose, Ben.
Contest.
You know what though? The Switch has a lot of buttons compared to the GameCube controller, right? Like if you just remember, we got one additional shoulder button, let alone like this entire configuration. I could see you control the strength of the spray with just a little bit more nuance between these two, with distance, or with maybe a second analog. I mean, there are lots of ways to make that happen.
Got to remember as well, PlayStation have only just released a new configuration on the back of the DualShock, haven't they? Where you can get this little add-on, and if you think about your playing position, you've got those kind of little pads there. Maybe I don't know. I'm a forward thinker.
Maybe give us.
They'll figure it out.
Give us analog Joy-Con. Analog back button Joy-Con, GameCube style, purple. There you go.
Yes. There we go. Look, the show's gone full circle. Amazing.
Yeah, but we were talking about this on NVC too, a podcast I'm on. But Galaxy has the motion control stuff, and you can replicate a lot of it. But maybe you would just want to adapt it for a more traditional setup, because you do have the Switch Lite out there, and it doesn't have the same motion controls that the standard Joy-Con have.
That's a good point. Yeah, really good point.
You can't do the shake for the spin,
Yeah.
You mentioned NVC there. Actually, another part of Jesper's question right at the end, he said, it's not really a question, but he just said, I've been listening to NVC for about a year now, and I really enjoy the show. And it's his second favorite Nintendo podcast. So
thank you so much. That's good enough. We don't talk about steak and beer, so we would never be number one.
No, I made that bit up. It's fine. Per, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on, hasn't it, Dan?
Absolutely. For the second time, technically, so it's worthwhile saying thank you so much for joining us again. I know, sincerely, and you probably get it all the time, but I'm going to say it anyway. You've defined my commutes for about 6 years, I think. And in terms of the work that you guys do about community, it's probably the reason that we started it. We went to the IGN 500 UK podcast together.
We did.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. First time Ben and I had met, and we met about 4 of the other guys that do this. There's 12 of us together. We don't do it for profit. We just do it because we're all nerds and we're in our 30s and we love games. But thank you sincerely for all the work you and your team do. Absolutely love what you do.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me on.
No, pleasure.
And Per, we should probably just do the whole "where can people find you" online thing, just because that's what you have to do at the end of podcasts.
You can find my fan site at www.ign.com. And we have a YouTube channel now. The easiest way to get a hold of me is just hit up Twitter, look for Peer IGN, that's PEER-IGN, and I'm happy to answer questions. So, send me a note.
Love it.
What a gent. Thank you, Per.
Excellent. Thank you.
Dan, where can the good folks find you online, mate?
At the moment, you can find me at home a lot, or you can find me on Twitter at DannyWard2707. Nice and easy.
Fantastic. And you can find me at Benji Kong, and you can find the whole. Is there 12 of us? 13?
I think there's 13. Baker's dozen. That's
Baker's
fine.
dozen.
Yeah,
half
literally
Baker's
an
dozen.
actual Baker. Yeah, it's fine.
You can find us at the Switch Island, and everything we do is at theswitchisland.com. And that about covers everything. Thank you once again, Per. Thank you, Dan, and thank you everyone for listening.
Goodbye.
On the next one. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.